how's it going, ladies and gentlemen? It's myself, Nasipi is one, and I'm back with a brand new episode for you today. I'm with the queen of the Misfits, Alanna Joy. Did I pronounce it correctly?
It's Alanna, like Hannah.
Alanna. It's a very
Yeah,
beautiful name. Is that a stage
thank
name or is that
you.
actually on your ID?
That is on my ID. Joy is my middle name, though. So I'm actually Alanna Joy Wells.
No, that's really beautiful. Very unique, very different. But right off the bat, let's find out about who you are. For 5 marks, who is Alanna Joy?
Oh no, the pressure is on. What an existential crisis question. Um, oh yeah, so I'm Alanna. I'm in a band called Lost Youth, and we've been making music for a few years. I was born in Ireland, but I've been here since I was 3 years old. My dad's South African, my mom's Irish and Swiss. Um, what else? Music is like pretty much my whole life, but I currently do have a day job. I do marketing by day, music by night.
I'd like to know what the dynamics are for, a female vocalist, amongst just guys. I'm also in a band myself with Thorns of Ivory, and we literally just even band practices, we act the fool every single time. So, what are sort of the dynamics for you as a female assigned body in a band, just mostly full of guys?
Yeah, I think like I'm super used to it at this point. Like I've always kind of had a lot of guy friends. It's only more recently actually that I've like come into having like a lot more female kind of friends and energy in my life, which has been really beautiful. But like it has had its issues like every now and again. Like just like certain boundaries of like it actually isn't like the core group of the band because right now we don't have a drummer, we're always drummerless. We have drama, so like the three of us, like me and bassist and guitarist, we're like super tight, and our dynamic is like, I don't know, we know each other so well, we know where the boundaries are. But like for instance, we once had a drummer that like would be very like insensitive to like he would be often like pretty naked on tour, and like I've seen things I don't want to see, um and shit like that. So that's like there's been moments of it, but in general I feel like I've got like my brothers slash sometimes I feel like their mother a little bit, um but it's like it's a beautiful energy.
How did you guys actually get together as a band? Like, how did you meet your brothers?
So I was actually in a band with Charlie, the bassist, beforehand. I was in a project called The Guys Alive, and our bassist left to Portugal. And so Charlie was kind of brought in. And at first, I was like, I had a different bassist in mind who should like be the bassist for the band.
Yeah.
And then I came into rehearsal one day, and Charlie was just there, like noodling around on the bass guitar, and they're like, "Oh, hey, this is Charlie. Like he's auditioning to be our bassist." And just from like the first few notes that he played, I was immediately like, I connect with this guy and the way that he writes music and the
Yeah.
sounds that he like the way that he plays bass is in my mind is quite unique and like very melodic. And I was like, oh, that's pretty dope. And then I kind of stole him away a little bit for my solo project, like just for like some session gigs kind of thing. And then we met our guitarist at a jam session that I used to host. I used to host a jam session in Observatory every Wednesday. And like I'd met him before, but I didn't really know that he was a guitarist. And then um like he had mentioned he was in a band, and I was like, oh, that's cool, whatever. And we'd see each other every now and again. And then I invited him to come jam, just because like I needed more people to attend the jam session. And he showed up and like just can play anything, like can jam on any song. Everyone was like, whoa, who's that guy? And like we actually like we kind of had to like try and convince him to get into the band because he was like super busy and like playing with lots of people. And we are like, oh hey, like do you just like want to come and like jam some songs sometime? Like it, no pressure, like it just might be cool. And then I think what actually got him into the band is like we played a random fucking cover show at Rockamama's, and we gave him a milkshake. And after that, he was like in the band, and he loves milkshakes. So like that was the first like, oh, I think he might actually be in this band.
So if you want to get your guitarist to do anything, just get him a milkshake and it's sorted.
Literally, milkshakes, donuts. Oh, we like recently found these new biscuits. They're called like rainbow biscuits, and he is obsessed. He's made like little stickers on WhatsApp. Like he took a photo of it and like turned it into a sticker. And that's how he
What?
responds to things when he's like stoked about it. He's like, rainbow cookies. Yes.
Nah, shout out to him. Sounds really splendid. Who was the original? Who's the original bassist that you had in mind? Who is he? Name and shame, or name and
Uh
fame, I guess.
it was actually my cousin, Kian van der Merwe. He's like in a metal band now. I don't think he plays bass, actually. I think he's doing guitar because he's actually originally a guitarist. But at the time, he was like, I think he was like 17 years old. And I was like, oh, he plays guitar mostly, but he is like a good bassist as well. It'd be cool to give him that like kind of exposure and kind of bring him into the
Yeah.
music world because I know he wanted to enter it. Um, and then I had to tell him like, I love you, cuz, but we went with somebody else, and he was super chilled though. Like it was meant to be. He's got his like metal band now, and they're killing it.
Yeah. What's the middle band called? Quick plug.
Not a clue. He's gonna kill me.
Dude, you the worst cousin ever.
I know. Didn't get him the job. Can't even plug his new band. Yes, us.
No, dude. I'd feel honored and privileged if you were my cousin. So shout out to you. I'm sure you're still proud to have you as cousin. But obviously, looking at Lost Youth, your guys' social media, you've got that on lock. You've got your streams on lock. Everything is over like 1K. You've even
Okay.
got Last Time, which is over like 4K. I want you to tell us the secrets. As musicians and as a band, what's sort of like your secret when it comes to getting these high social media numbers and these high streams? Is there even a secret? What are you guys doing?
I think like just being really aware of the fact that music is not only like an art but also a business, and it's something that like it took us a while to kind of accept, and we still like there'll be like a month or like so where we like haven't posted anything and we're like fuck, we need to like get back on this, like and it's something that I think we all find it very difficult to keep up with because it's really not something that comes very naturally to us.
Yeah,
um but at the same time, like just trying to keep some sort of consistency with it, and like we're also like very pedantic with what we put out, which like, and then at the same time, I look back at all of the mixes that are on Spotify and I'm like, could have been so much better, but like in the moment we're super pedantic with it and like wanting everything to kind of be as good as we can get it, but also at at the same time we're usually like, like the first music video we put out, we edited it ourselves. We like to be like the DIY kings and queens.
mm,
Like,
mm,
yeah. So I don't know. I think it's a difficult thing to kind of say, oh, this is why it's doing well. And I mean, in our minds we're like, oh, it could be so much better. But I
yeah.
think it's just like trying to keep up with technology. And I mean, as I say that we're not even on TikTok, like we are, but we never post anything. So like don't take our um our social media as like the way to do it.
But I mean, it's what you just mentioned there. You aren't on TikTok, but you are on TikTok. Would you say the best sort of strategy for you would be to maybe, is there just one social media sort of outlet that you're focused on? Say, for example, you're just focusing on Instagram, and then
Mm.
everything else will just come off that, or is it best to just have it all? Try every single thing. Threads is out now, and all that. There, what has worked for you guys?
I think kind of making one platform feel like the hub is kind of cool. It's like if we make content for Instagram, also now that there's like reels and everything, it's also kind of relevant to TikTok. We just have to remember to actually post it on TikTok as well, which we never do. But like having one place where everybody knows that's where to find us, that's where to get the information from, that's where we connect with people. That's quite cool. And like it also just makes it easier because if you're trying to make content that's relevant to Facebook, make content that's relevant to Instagram, make content that's relevant to Twitter and Threads and TikTok and Snapchat and whatever, it like becomes a little bit overwhelming. And we're the kind of people that like when it gets overwhelming like that, we kind of just don't make content. So it's easier to just focus on one thing and try to do that well and kind of build, yeah, build that hub. But at the same time, like if Instagram ever goes like, you know, completely out of style, we're screwed.
Yeah, but I mean, you guys have like a website as well, so I guess that could sort of, make up for it in a way. Looking at the fact that in 2022 you guys dropped Chasing Shadows,
Yeah.
obviously a very beautiful 4-track EP that you guys released. How did that actually come about? What was the whole process when it came to sort of making it and putting it together? Did you, record these tracks at different times? Did you record them all at once? What was the whole process for you guys?
So Chasing Shadows is like the first part of a two-part project. We're currently working on the second part of it. Um, but we basically, like, those songs were songs that I had kind of written over the years, and then the boys came in and like did arrangements for them. But we didn't necessarily write them together. So they also feel like a little bit outdated to me just because they weren't like built together in like this cohesive kind of like writing experience. But at the same time, like they hold a lot of like weight in my heart because like they're very personal to me and everything, and it's like what started us. um but we recorded them with Ruan Voss. I always call him Judy, so I have to like catch myself. His official name is Ruan Voss from Sonic Nursery. And it was a really beautiful experience. We actually recorded it in my house, um in this very lounge here. If
Nice.
nobody can see this on the podcast, but imagine it. It's messy. You can't see that in the video, thank God. But we basically just like set up the drums in the middle of the lounge, recorded there, and we spent the whole week. Um, we just all slept over and recorded. That was before I got a day job, so that was really beautiful. Now this time round is like a little bit different because I'm busy every weekday. But yeah, it was really beautiful. It took us a long time to mix them, but everything was recorded kind of within that week, and then I did vocals separately. So that was like the one element that was kind of a little bit later. And then we kind of like started putting out singles, and that was something that I think we want to like change in the future. Is like we kind of mix each song and then released it and then mix the next song. And it would have been nice to mix them all together and have like just a little bit, like the sound was cohesive still because it was done by the same person and blah blah blah, but like just to have them all ready at once and then only start thinking about a release strategy you know
Mm,
but
mm.
yeah, I love those songs. They're still like very close to my heart, even if I'm like they could have been better now with the knowledge that I have now.
Yeah, and you guys started in 2021, right? So I think I saw somewhere online.
Yeah.
So you guys would have been like a post-COVID or during COVID, and all of that there going on. So, what are there any sort of differences, would you say, in terms of approach when it comes to, how maybe you were making music as a solo artist pre-COVID, and then how the band formed after COVID or during when COVID was still a thing? If
Mm.
any differences at all, like, what were they?
So I think like on the one hand, we we were playing together before COVID. So but we were playing under my name. And our focus at the time was like we were trying to like rebrand the project Alanna Joy as like Alanna Joy is not just like a singer-songwriter solo folk artist. Now we're playing as a band and it's like starting to get a little bit more rock, and we're kind of
Mm,
finding our feet in that kind of like more alternative sound. But we still had like also like the folky songs that were kind of more from the Alanna Joy phase. And we were focusing like really heavily on gigs because that's also like what we love to do the most is like just play live. So we're like getting into like Aces and we're getting into Mercury, and we're like working real hard and like proving to kind of the people in the industry like we can pull a crowd, and like don't worry, we're not just like poppy and soft and quiet. Like we can like hold our own on this stage kind of thing. And then when COVID hit, we were kind of like, oh, none of that mattered. Like it did matter, and it was beautiful, and like I wouldn't take anything away from it, but like those venues closed, those connections were no longer like as relevant because we were stuck in our house, and we like had no way of making money and blah blah blah. So I think after that, it was kind of like a shift in our mindset of like, we still love the gigs. We still sign up for way too many gigs. We're constantly going like, we should gig less so that we can focus on like recording and writing and like releasing content and everything. But
Mm.
we still just like, somebody asks us to do a gig and we're like, yes, let's do it. Are you guys free? Fuck yeah. But yeah, now it's a lot more like we're kind of trying to build our name and like connections with people online more versus like trying to fill out a show every week or two and like prove to industry people that we
Mm.
can fill out a show, rather like kind of focusing on the people that like the music rather than
Mm.
like being like, hey, don't worry, you can book us for a gig, we'll be good,
Mm.
kind of thing.
I mean, I feel like that's a very important point there, right? You know, having, how do you sort of go about having this sort of perfect balance, you know, between being booked for shows and actually recording music?
Mm,
Is there a way to get that perfect balance? Because I can tell you now, as the ones of well, the band that I'm playing in, we really
yes,
just super focused on gigging and gigging and gigging, and the end result is that the recorded stuff takes a hit because you're always having to practice for the next gig, so we never get time to make
exactly.
music. So how do you get that perfect balance?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think we've found it necessarily, but I mean, obviously, like in a kind of a more structured or like formalized music industry, artists will kind of do cycles where they're like, okay, we're touring for a year or two, and then we're taking a year to like write and record, and that's like very much kind of what we see with like westernized kind of artists, and even just kind of anybody that's like kind of bigger in the scene. And then there's kind of like us artists that are in a, it feels like in a completely different world, and gigging is like a part of our survival, and it's like how we make money and how we fund the eventual recording. So it's like it's difficult to balance it. But I think what we, in an ideal world what we try to do, and we don't always do it, is like gig once or like once a month in an area. So like if we were being real smart about it, we'd be like, okay, once a month or once every 2 months, whatever it is, we're gonna play a show in Stellenbosch. And then we're gonna play a show in Cape Town. We're gonna play a show in like, like Cork Bayside, or like kind of splitting it into kind of regions within the Western Cape, or even like if you're doing it on a larger scale, like of South Africa, so that people want to come to the show. Like we spent a lot of time like playing way too many shows in the same areas right after each other. And like the first show would get a whole lot of people coming. And then the next show, the next week or a few days later, would be kind of more empty. And then it would kind of like, people kind of got too used to the idea that, oh, they're going to play again like next week. Like, we don't need to go to this one, we'll go to the next one, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
like Charlie, our bassist, made a really good point once where it's like when you're like waiting for a bigger band to like come and tour, it's like if they come to your city, you're like, oh my god, they're coming to the city, we don't know the next time that they're going to play here, we have to go and watch them, like this is important, like
Mm.
we love them, we want to experience it, we don't know if we're ever going to
Yeah.
do that again. Whereas with us, it's like, oh, Lost Youth will probably play again like next month. Even if they say they're taking a break from gigs, which we did like 2 months ago, we were like, we're taking a break from gigs. We're no longer playing, guys. This is our last gig. Come support.
Yeah.
And then like 2 months later, we're playing another gig. We're like, whoops, oh shit. Like we didn't mean to, but it just happened. Um,
Yeah.
and it kind of gives people like the sense that like we're always going to be there, and like even if they love our music and they want to come and support, it's like there's so many other things to do, money is a thing, time is a thing, time is precious, and we'll see them at the next show.
Mm.
So I think kind of trying to create the the idea, or like um kind of trying to create that like that sense that they don't play that often. It's actually a really
Mm.
special thing to go and see them play, because it
Mm.
only happens every now and again. And like building an experience around the show, like making every show feel like a beautiful experience. It's not just like three bands on a lineup playing at a venue. It's like there's decor around the venue. Like
Mm.
there's a photo booth that like adds vibes. Like just something that like makes it feel different, and like it's not just you're watching bands, you're like immersed in this experience. So yeah,
Mm.
anyways, I could go on about this for months. So
So it's basically about that quality over quantity, right? Makes
yeah,
makes a lot of sense. Yeah. You mentioned there Aces and Mercury, obviously venues that closed down. We're almost at the end. But which sort of venues, South African venues, and you mentioned playing around, different sort of, places in South Africa. Which venues would you say hold a very special place in your heart?
that's a difficult question because like I love so many of them. Um, but yeah, okay, Aces and Mercury were like, especially Aces. That was like a really beautiful time, and every show that I watched and every show that I performed there was like it just had this magic about it. Um, Weirdly enough, like haven't played there in a long time. I don't even know if they have live music, but Mystics was a vibe in Stellenbosch. Boho's is always a beautiful vibe. So yeah, places like that, places that have character, and that kind of wanna curate like um, a beautiful space for both the audience and the musician.
No, I'm kind of bummed there are no Durban venues that are mentioned there, but it's okay. It's forgiven. It's all good. I
I
know
don't
some
actually
will
like.
definitely come.
I
Yeah.
don't know many Durban venues because whenever we've played there, it's been like really informal. Like we've played at like there was a place in like Toti that was like the Moth um venue or something. It was like it wasn't a music venue, and we just like made it into a music venue. And then like this other place that we played was like this like photography studio that we also like we all turned it into a venue. And I know this like what is it like the warehouse and like Robson's beer and stuff, but like we've never played there. But I hear good vibes about it.
It's always these makeshift spaces that you have to sort of make into actual venues that you need to play at.
Exactly, which is beautiful though, and I think that's like also it's kind of a trend after COVID where bands are creating the lineups and the spaces now. Like beforehand, like there seemed to be somewhat like a scene of like promoters. Now I can't think of a single promoter that exists in South Africa, and maybe I'm just like ignorant, but it feels like
Yeah.
it's a lot more like the bands themselves
Mm,
making the gigs, which is like
yeah.
both sad because like our music industry is so like unstructured and informal, which like kind of always just ends up screwing over the musicians. But at the same time, it's really beautiful that like we're still doing shit. We're still making
Yeah.
stuff happen.
Very, very true. Now, obviously, you've come to almost the end. Tell me about the upcoming stuff. You obviously mentioned that, basically the project that you guys released last year was like a part one, and that there's
Yeah.
obviously going to be a follow up, being a part two. So, what else can we sort of expect from you guys in terms of releases and collabs?
So yeah, part two of the project is hopefully coming out soon. We're like working on the mixes and the masters at the moment. It's gonna be called First Light, so it's kind of like the opposite of Chasing Shadows. Um,
Mm,
and it's a lot more acoustic. It's a lot more like kind of hopeful in its messages and its like themes and its lyrics. Um, and yeah, it's got some of my favorite songs on it, like because these were kind of written with the band more, and like also kind of coming out of COVID, and like one of the songs was written about the experience of kind of having so much to say and like not really having a way to say it because you're locked up inside. But like it's not on the
mm.
nose like that. Don't worry, it's not like I'm in lockdown. Life sucks. um but yeah, our first single is going to be released on the 18th of August. It's called Stray. We just got the master like last weekend, and we like finally uploaded it, and we're like so excited for it to finally kind of be coming out because we've waited a long time to like finish this kind of project. We've had the songs for a little bit. We've changed them and added new things, so I think it was actually like the perfect timing. But um yeah, we're really stoked to kind of finally be getting these songs out into the world.
I'm so stoked for Stray. If I could, I would ask if you could give us like a little snippet for us to give sort of like a teaser, only if you
Yeah,
can. But yeah,
definitely.
listen, in terms of social media handles where people can get in touch with you and the band and all that there, where do we go?
Lost Youth Official on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I don't know what else exists. Those things. And then Spotify is Lost Youth. And if you can't find us with Lost Youth, put the two slashes lost slash slash youth, because there are other artists that are called Lost Youth. They've also just like come out recently, new artists. I'm like, no, that's our name. Go away. Stop it. But like, they sound great though, so like good for them.
You are the
But
best
yeah.
lost youth, though.
Oh,
Disclaimer.
thank you.
Yeah.
You're gonna get in trouble with all the other lost youths. They're gonna come for you.
It needed to be said. We want to give a special shout out. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode. It's been really amazing. I've learned so much about you and the band and everything that goes on behind the scenes. And I also want to thank Llewellyn who organized this.
Yeah.
How do you guys know each other? Just quickly as well. How do you know Llewellyn?
This is like such a cool story in my mind, at least. Okay, so it was like a while ago. I don't think I'd even met the band before this. And he just reached out to me on Facebook. He like popped me a Facebook message. I'd never met him before or anything. He was just like, "Hey, my name's Llewellyn, and I would like to be your booking agent. I'm just starting out.
Nice.
I'm about to quit my job. Can I please be your booking agent?" And I was like, "Yeah, cool. Let's like meet up. Let's have a meeting." And I like met him outside of Nedbank, which I hope I'm getting this right. I think that's where he worked. That was my impression at the time. And he was like, "Yeah, I really want to get into booking, and like I really like your music, so can we do something?" And now he's been our booking agent for like years, and he's organized like 4 tours for us, and like he's living in England, living his best life. We're like trying to organize
Mm,
some shows in the UK, and yeah, I love him. He's just the best. Shout out
mm.
Llewellyn.
Shout out Llewellyn. Shout out. I saw you took an image with Ash as well. Sort of gave
Oh
me
yeah,
the
do you
impression
know
that I was a
Ash?
mate. So yeah, we had her on the show like a while back. So it was cool seeing both of you just like, they know each other and they're both so dope. It was
Yeah,
wholesome.
we're like best friends. She actually got me my job, my marketing job, and
Hey.
now she's quit and she's gone and she's traveling America. I'm stuck with the day job. No, I'm
Damn.
joking. But stuck without her. Yeah, I miss her
Oh,
actually a fuckload. But yeah, no, she's super cool.
Ash, if you're listening to this, we miss you. Come back.
Yeah, don't come back. Stay there. It's good. No, come back and visit us. But like,
But stay there, full
yes,
turn.
yes, live your best life.
Thank you so much once again for doing this episode with me. We're going to be closing out with Stray by Lost Youth. Check out all things Sledge Underground on our website, www.sledgeunderground.com. We've got beanies, they're currently out. Best way to support the show, 175 rand a pop. Until next time, it's bye for now.
Cheers.
Sometimes strange.